What's up, family? Welcome to another episode of Done Not Perfect. I am your host, Ace, and I am excited, blessed to have you here listening to this episode. And today, January 19th, is a very bittersweet day for me. It marks 19 years since my brother passed away. And I want to be clear, I'm not recording this to relive the pain or have a therapy session or to dump anything on you, but it has really encouraged me to turn the mic on and record about what grief has taught me about life, about letting go, and about being present. And if this is your first time here, you kind of picked maybe a heavy episode to listen to, but maybe it's the right one for you. I don't think God makes mistakes, but if you are new, I would appreciate it if you would just give me 15 to 20 minutes of your time. I really do believe I have something for you today, maybe something that you didn't know that you needed. Please subscribe and follow to the podcast wherever you listen to it. This episode will not be uploaded to my YouTube channel. This is going to be audio only. I didn't feel like going through the process of turning the camera on and the lighting and stuff. I kind of just wanted to go with how I felt right now. And if you are a reoccurring listener, thank you. And if you haven't subscribed or followed, please do leave a kind review, rate us 5 stars, share it. You guys know the deal. It'll make my mama proud. 19 years ago, my brother passed away. I was 19 years old. I was a sophomore in college, and I found out that my brother passed away when I was on a road trip for basketball. I was in Ohio at the time, and I actually found out that he passed away on the internet. And just to kind of give you a brief overview, my brother had Crohn's disease. My brother Ian, his name is Ian Simpson, and he passed away when he was 24 years old. And I think around 15 years old, he was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, which is a disease that infects the intestines. There's no cure for it as of now. And so he had Crohn's disease, and he died January 9th, 2007. Thanksgiving of 2006, there was a complication in a routine surgery that was only supposed to take about 5 minutes. And there was a clinical malpractice that had to lead him into going into a medical-induced coma where he battled hard for 6 weeks or so. And ultimately, his body couldn't take any more. His brain couldn't take any more. And, my family decided it was time to just pull the plug. And he died January 19, 2007. Now, the reason why I found out online was because during that period of when he was in the hospital and when he passed away, the hospital that he was at, they had a care page. And what that means is, if you're not familiar with that, I don't know if they still have it, but basically what it is people that are in ICUs, they have a care page. And you can write them letters, you can send them messages that people can read them while they're in the coma, because the idea is even though they're not able to communicate with you, they can still listen and hear you. And also, when they wake up, they're able to read and see all the messages that people left them. And I would write him a letter pretty much every day, more or less. But also on the care page, you can read the updates of how their day was and, any notes that the doctor put in, or whomever was running his care page can leave an update. And we were in Ohio. It was a Friday night that I found out. And I believe he passed away that morning. But the night before, on Thursday, we had a game. And after the game, I called my mom and talking. And, she's telling me, oh, he's doing great, yada, yada, yada. But meanwhile, they know that the inevitable is coming. And I think the idea was they were going to wait to tell me in person or to tell me in some kind of way. And so he passed away that morning. We had a team dinner that night on Friday. And I was in my hotel room, opened up my laptop, was about to write a message, and then I just was like, let me see how he's doing, clicked it, and it was around 9 o'clock that night that I found out that he died around 9 a.m. that morning, and that was it. Never got a chance to say goodbye, never got to see him, and, as you can imagine, I was stunned. I felt betrayed. I had all these emotions that, number one, finding out on the internet that your brother died is not ideal, but I was a little upset at that time that no one told me. No one reached out and told me that my brother died 12 hours ago. But I understand why they did that. And, they wanted me to focus on basketball. And to be honest, I think my brother would have wanted that too. And so that was Friday night. Saturday afternoon, we had a game. I played in the game. And I just remember telling my coach, hey, everyone knew what was going on the last 6 weeks. And they knew my brother passed away. And they kind of let me be by myself. And I had one condition for the game. I said, no matter how much we're winning or how much we're losing, don't take me out. I don't care how tired I am. Just let me stay on the court. Let me have 40 minutes to not think about this. And he agreed. And we were losing that game, and we ended up losing that game. And with about 10, 15 seconds left, he subbed me out because they did a very, very kind thing before the national anthem was played. My coach actually went to the other team's coach and shared what happened. And the announcer of the game actually gave me a moment of silence, which is very rare to have an away player get a moment of silence in an away arena. So that was very cool. So 10, 15 seconds left in the game. We're shooting a free throw. They're shooting a free throw. The coach subs me out. My coach subs me out. And he did that so I can get a standing ovation, and which I did. And my mother and my other brother was behind the bench. They drove up to see me play, and I just went behind the bench, just collapsed and, lost it, and was pretty much in a daze the rest of the season. Being 19 years old, losing your brother, who's your best friend, the person that you idolized and you loved and looked up to the level that I did, it left a really, really big hole in my heart that, as you can imagine, when you lose somebody, your initial reaction is, I'm never going to see them ever again. Your initial feeling is, this is the end, this is over, and this sucks, and I never got a chance to say goodbye. Like all these different feelings and emotions and things come in your mind and your spirit, and you're just left feeling empty. You're left feeling disappointed. You're left feeling abandoned. You're left feeling all these different things. And it took a while for me to really get to a place of accepting that my brother was no longer going to be here physically, but while also accepting a new relationship with him spiritually. And now, 19 years later, I'm 38, going on 39. I've lived more life without him physically than I have with him. And as I was pondering about it today, I just got back in town from San Diego, so I've been on the road all day. So it's kind of been on my mind and haven't really sat down to really allow myself to feel how I feel right now. And it drove me to making this episode about, grieving and what it means to walk with it, and what does grieving really mean, and how does it apply to you, right? So how can I use my story? How can I use my experience to leave a message with you? And so for the next 6 to 10 minutes, I'm going to do my best to do that. And, even though I'm using an example of, someone passing away, I don't believe grieving is just limited to human beings passing away. I think you can equate that to relationships coming to an end, a career no longer existing that you have to pivot. I look at people whose careers and jobs ended with COVID, and there was a period of time of what do you do and where do I go from here? Like there's a grieving period there. Maybe your child has now gone off to college and you're empty nesters, and you spent 18 years having your child in your home, and now you're grieving your child being physically there all the time. So now there's a new chapter. Maybe you've put your dreams and your hopes aside to raise this child. Now this child is gone in this next chapter of their life, and now you have all this time and you don't know what to do with it. There's a grieving process there. So grieving is not just limited to when people pass away. It's when a relationship or something that exists in your life no longer or cease to exist the way that it used to. It's gone. So maybe when it comes to relationship, you're in a relationship with someone for so long and then it ended, there's a death there. That relationship no longer exists. There is a grieving period. And oftentimes when we experience loss in any way, the natural human thing to do is to keep ourselves busy. It's to mask the pain. It's to do something to fill a void so we don't have to allow ourselves to grieve and to feel all these different kind of emotions. And I've been there, when my brother passed away and other situations, where things cease to exist. And my hope at the end of this episode is that you gain a greater understanding of not just what grieving is, but not allowing yourself to try to just get over it and move on, but to move with. Because, the scars of my brother passing away, like that hole in my heart, that scar is always going to exist. It's always going to be there. But now, 19 years after the fact, it's a part of my story. It comes with me. I bring him with me in every room I go into. I carry that experience with me in conversations and on this podcast and in my coaching, in my training, in my social media. I may not talk about my brother in everything that I do, but that experience of grieving and loss and letting go of what was and stepping into what is and what's going to be comes with me in everything that I do. And I think one of the challenging things that many of us struggle with when it comes to grieving is it can either harden you or it can deepen you. And I've gone through both when it came to my brother passing away. There was a period of time where it really hardened my heart, because I carried a lot of resentment with how I found out that he passed away. I carried a lot of guilt and shame with not being able to say goodbye. If I'm being completely honest, I don't have the best of relationships with two of my brothers, to the point where we haven't spoken in almost a decade. And I haven't seen them in almost a decade. And that hurts. There's that as well, where I'm dealing with not just losing a brother physically, that he's no longer in existence, but I have two other brothers that are physically alive that we have no relationship with. And I don't hate them. I don't have any resentment. I've tried to do my thing. I know I've done nothing wrong to my knowledge, but there was a period of time where it hardened my heart, because I expected us to be closer after this happened. And it happened for a short period of time, and then it was snatched away for whatever reason. That sucked. But now I'm in a place where I've accepted that this is where it is. And if we ever talk or we ever see each other, it's going to be like I saw them and spoke to them yesterday. But also at the same time, if I never see them or speak to them ever again, I'm completely at peace with that. But I do believe that grief can either harden you or it can deepen you. And we have a choice there. When a job gets pulled from under you, or a relationship suddenly comes to a close, you have a decision. You have a choice to either allow it to harden you or to deepen you. It can harden your heart or it can deepen your love. And I truly believe the blessing that comes from my brother physically no longer being here is that once I allowed myself to grieve and to accept what is, the reality of what is, over time, it increased and deepened my love for the people that I have in my life now and for the work that I do. And I really don't believe I'd be able to be as present, and I'm a work in progress, I'm not perfect, but I don't think I would be able to do the work that I do now if that was not the case. That's just my personal opinion. But we all have a choice to either allow grief to harden our hearts, where we are just angry, upset, resentful, living in guilt and shame, and we are, pointing fingers, and we're pissed at people, and we're angry at God, or whatever the case is. Or we can allow it to deepen our love and deepen our curiosity and deepen our presence and deepen our purpose and plant firmer roots in who we are and our mission in this world. One of the biggest misunderstandings when it comes to letting go or grieving is you think that if you need to or you have to let go of something or someone, that means you're forgetting them or it means you're moving on. That's not what letting go means. Letting go is not about forgetting or moving on. It's about learning how to live with it without having resistance. It's learning how to live with it without having resistance. One of the hardest things to do when you have a broken heart, or someone passes away, or a career comes to a close and you got to pivot, is to not allow it to make you resistant to things. When your heart is hardened, when you're angry, when you're upset, when you're coming at it from a place of lack, you are resisting love. When you go through a situation where your heart is broken and you allow that to harden your heart, you are resisting love. You are resisting people that can pour into you. You are resisting opportunities that can uplift you. When you're so focused on what did not work or what no longer exists the way that you want, you are resisting other opportunities that can pour into the hole that you have and help fill that void. You're resisting things. So you might be listening to this, dealing with heartbreak or dealing with loss or dealing with career change or something where there's such a major shift in how things used to be, and you are allowing it to make you resist change and resist growth and resist parts of us that are desiring transformation. 2 years ago when I reclaimed my health and I've gotten in the best shape of my life at 38 years old, a huge piece of that is I had to grieve my old identity. I had to allow myself to accept the fact that I was the one that got out of shape. I was the one that got 275, 280 pounds. I was the one. It was my habits. It was my decision. I couldn't act like that didn't exist. I couldn't just start eating better and working out more and just moving on as if that wasn't a part of my life. It was almost like I was trying to act like that never happened. But the truth is, the more that I took progress pics, the more that I allowed myself to see how I looked in that current state of unhealthiness, it freed me down the road in becoming someone better than who I was now. But it wasn't coming from a place of, I need to do this so I can love myself. It came from a place of, I allowed myself to look this way and to feel this way, but I also love myself enough to no longer be this way. But in order for me to get this new body, to get this new lifestyle, to get these new habits, I have to grieve the decisions and the choices that I made in the past. I had to allow myself to not deny that reality that this actually happened. So one of the things that I help people when I coach them is you have to acknowledge the fact that you're overweight. You can't sugarcoat that. You can't say, I'm just big boned, or high blood pressure runs in my family, or work, or the kids, or you're throwing all these different reasons why you are the way that you are, except that you're the reason why it's that way. You're running from the truth. And the truth is, you are the reason. Yes, there are facts of stress and kids and all these things that are facts. But the truth of the matter is you allowed yourself to do that. You allowed yourself to get that way. You allowed yourself to make these decisions. No one put the food on your plate. You did. You bought the food. You ate the food. You chose not to go to the gym. You chose not to walk. That's you. You have to grieve that version of you in order to step into this new version of you. I couldn't love the people and love my clients and the people that I serve and my community and my social media to the extent that I am now unless I grieved the loss of my brother and made room for my love for people to deepen, not to harden my heart. This is not about letting go, moving on, and forgetting. It's about moving forward without resistance. What are you resisting right now? What areas of your life do you feel that you are resisting change? You are resisting growth because of unhealed, unused grieving. It's crazy how we can condition ourselves to try to be perfect or try to act like it's all good or we got it all together, when the truth of the matter is we're all at different stages of messing up. Some of us are at the very beginning, some of us are in the middle, some of us are at the very top, right? Some of us, we still mess up, but we mess up a lot less. Our decision making has gotten better, but we're never going to be perfect. One of the things I wish I would have known when I was 19 years old was that it was okay to cry. It was my right and my duty to allow myself to feel how I felt, the way it felt, and feel all of that. And especially for men, we are conditioned oftentimes to deny how we feel in exchange to be perceived as someone that's tough or someone that is resistant to adversity. Like, we're not going to feel pain. You're not going to see me hurt. You're not going to see me cry. You're not going to see me emotional. I am unharmed. I am undefeated. I am unpenetrable. I am the Terminator. Nah, man, you got to allow yourself to feel how you feel and feel it all. You cannot allow yourself to skip the grieving steps. And I'm telling you, as someone that experienced the pain of losing your best friend and brother, you might have lost a parent, you might have lost a significant other. I'm not saying my pain is deeper than yours or your pain is deeper than mine. I'm saying we both experienced pain. And my pain to your pain, what changed my life was allowing myself to feel it, how it's feeling in the moment, and give myself permission to be there fully present. And I even said when I turned this, I don't know if I'm going to cry recording this or not, but if I am, I'm not going to hit pause. I'm not going to stop recording. I'm going to let it run because that's how I'm feeling in the moment. And I've earned that right to feel that way because I've gone through that pain. Perfection is an illusion. It's not real. You're never going to be perfect. You're never going to have it all together. You're never going to be 10 out of 10. Yeah, like grieving, it comes and goes in waves. It's an emotional roller coaster, but it's not, as time goes on, it's not going to be as heavy as it was at the beginning. But if you don't resolve it early on, it's going to show up in other ways. Like, yeah, maybe you lost a job and you're holding on to that regret, that shame, that anger that your dream job came to a close. But if you don't start dealing with that grieving and allow that to detoxify out of your system, it's going to show up in your relationships. It's going to show up in your parenting. It's going to show up in your health because it's going to start to become your identity now. When you see people in the world that are just always angry and just always has something to say, they're never happy. They are Debbie Downers. They always got something negative to say, no matter what. They always have something. They have unresolved grief. And it probably started in one little area, but because they never gave themselves permission or they were never taught to give themselves permission, it is now manifested in every aspect of their life now. Grieving is hard. Today's tough for me. Some years is tougher than others. The COVID one was tough, but it's really tough when you see how tough it is on your parents. I can't imagine the pain of losing a child. Can't. Whatever it is that you're going through right now, whatever grieving that is, I'm not saying that it's never going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Sometimes it's going to be fucking hard. But the more that you acknowledge that this is just a part of the process and it's not your job to move on or to forget or act like you're not hurting. Your job is to allow yourself to feel. And when you allow yourself to feel, as random as it may feel or as deep as it may feel, you have to allow yourself to do that. There are moments randomly, still, I'll listen to a song that makes me think of my brother and I just cry. And one song that comes in particular is the song that I put on my post today about it. It's John Mayer's Stop This Train. And the reason why it hurts is because I remember driving to the cemetery one year with my mom and my dad, and we were listening to John Mayer, and that song came on. And that song is about how much it sucks to not be able to stop time. And your parents get older and life moves on and people passes away and you're on this train that you want to stop so much, but you can't stop it. It's just a ride that you're always going to have to be on. And I remember my dad just losing it, listening to that song. And when I hear it, it just makes me emotional. There are going to be moments when certain movies or shows or somebody says something that sparks something that makes you think about the thing and it hurts. And I'm saying it's okay. The more that you allow yourself to feel it, the better you're going to be in the long run. So, I miss my brother wholeheartedly. Ian, I love you so much. I wish you were here today, but I'm also grateful for the lessons that I was able to learn, grieving you no longer being here physically and accepting this new relationship with you spiritually. That's been beautiful. And so for you that are listening right now and you feel lost, you feel hurt, you feel anger, you feel like your heart is hardened, that you're not listening to this on accident. This is a sign that it's time for you to start deepening your heart instead of hardening it. And I can't tell you how long it's going to take. I can't tell you every single step. I am not a professional at that. But I can tell you one thing. The first thing I would do is allow yourself to grieve and feel how you feel. And go all in on that. Don't put a time limit on when you think you should be done. You just allow yourself to feel it. I'm not saying you got to cry, but sometimes you got to sit in it and allow it to detoxify. It's like doing a cleanse. The beginning of a cleanse always sucks because it's detoxifying impurities. It always sucks. Headaches, you're tired, you're lethargic, brain fog, the whole nine, because your body is running on bad energy. It's running on stored toxic stuff. So your brain is using the toxicity as energy for you to function. It's like putting bad gasoline in your car. It's the same thing with grieving. Yeah, it's going to suck. It's going to be hard. But you're detoxifying the stuff that's hardening your heart to make room for the stuff that's going to deepen it. So I hope this episode blessed you. I hope it spoke to you when you needed it. And, I just really felt in the moment to record it. So I'm here and I'm showing up for you. And I thank you for listening. And the last thing I will say is if you got people in your life, man, that you love wholeheartedly and you will do anything for, text them and call them, hug them tight, because you never know when not just their time will come, but yours as well. And I think if the world would look at things like that, the news will look a lot different. I love you so much. Be safe, be blessed. And thank you for listening to this episode of Done Not Perfect.